Hey y'all, the holidays are upon us, and if you are like most people, then life gets a little chaotic. So today I wanted to show you 5 appetizers for Thanksgiving, or you could use it for other times, that you can make ahead and keep in your freezer until you need them. Time saver, energy saver, brain saver, etc. And we have a special guest. Get over here! We have Sister! She wants to help make some appetizers, and we are excited to share these recipes with you guys. They look fun, they look easy, and very unique, some of them. So stay tuned and we will get into that. Anyway, I'm Jamie. This is Dig at Homesteading. Welcome to my kitchen. I also pre-did something for today, which I highly recommend you doing if you're trying to rush to get this one recipe done. Then you might want to do this in advance when you're already going to be in the kitchen. This is caramelized onions, and I actually doubled it so I could put some in the freezer and have some for this recipe. We're going to make caramelized onion dip, and my make ahead on this is the caramelized onions. You can make the actual dip 2 or 3 days in advance, but this right here, having this ready to go in your freezer, the dip comes together quickly. So if you don't want to, I don't know how it would freeze. I think it's got sour cream. It's got sour cream in it, so that might be a little iffy. If you try it out, let me know. But have these frozen or canned, if you can them. I know a lot of people can them, in your freezer, so you can just slap this dip together whenever you need it. And I'll show you a few clips of when I made these the other day, in case you don't know how to make caramelized onions. Alright, everybody's in the pot now, and we're going to salt them up a little bit. And that will help release the moisture in them while they are caramelizing. And a couple of great things about using an electric skillet like this is the surface area. The bigger pan you use, the more onions you can put in there. And then, you know, if you're able to get them in like one layer across, then they'll all cook a lot quicker. Plus, I can set this and then run around outside real quick and throw some seeds in the ground while these are cooking. And they'll be working for me while I'm doing other things, and I don't have to watch them near as close, because the temperature controls on this I've gotten very familiar with, and they really don't fluctuate that bad. So we'll just leave them just like this, all spread out. But time, temperature, and surface area, along with decent fat, is all you need to make good caramelized onions. Alright, so they filled up the whole pan to begin with, and this is how much they've reduced down to. And they smell absolutely delicious. There's a couple of them that could have gone a little bit more, but majority of them are caramelized, so we're going to stop it here. Alright, Sister has graciously decided to do this recipe for us. I'm going to take these and go chop them for you.
Can I do this now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
And these are garlic chives that I got out of the garden for this. So she's going to use 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. And you can just take your knife and cut down the middle. Yeah. Okay, so now she's going to add a half a cup of sour cream to the bowl. Now we're adding 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise. Alright, now we're going to add some black pepper. You add black pepper with love. There's no measurement. Okay, I like your style. And then add your chives, and we do have garlic chives. And it's 2 tablespoons of garlic chives. Now mix it all together. But don't forget your onions.
What happens if I forget that?
You're gonna add them last?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that how you stir?
Okay. Well, I mean, this stupid stuff doesn't want to be stirred.
So is the cream cheese still a little firm?
Nah.
Try smushing it. Smush. That looks pretty good. Why don't you add your onions now? Show the camera. Lovely golden caramelized onions.
All of them?
Heck yeah. The more the better. Don't forget them too. No onion goes unnoticed. Okay, get it stirred in real nice. We have this tray of vegetables from when we made the baba ganoush together, and we don't have a whole lot of that left. So you can serve this with Ruffles chips or pita chips or vegetables, however you want it.
Pretzels.
Oh, pretzels would be a great idea. I think I'm going to try it with a carrot. Are you going to try it too? Alright, we're going to try to make sure to get some caramelized onion on that bite. Mmm. Sister, you like it? I like it. If you like caramelized onions, try this. This will be a hit. Oh yeah. You think everybody will like it? Me too. Let's do the next one. Okay, so next up is Boursin stuffed mushrooms, and that is a cheese. If you don't know, it is lovely. It's usually like maybe herb and garlic cheese, I can't remember, but it's delicious. And the recipe doesn't look overly complicated either. So let's see if sister wants to help with this one too. This is that cheese I was telling you about. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Boursin, whatever. Tell me how to say it. But anyway, we're going to do some prep work for sister because she just ran off to do a chore real quick. So it calls for half a yellow onion, and this is a small onion, so we're going to say it's half. Plus there's some moisture, and this needs to be used up, so we want to use this first. And we're going to get 2 cloves of garlic chopped up. And I'm doing way more than 2 because these are from my seed garlic, and I have to look through them, so these aren't necessarily actual size of garlic cloves. This one's pretty good, but it might be 2. So we're going to make it a quantity of 2, and a little more ain't going to hurt nobody. So I'll just get this stuff prepped for her in case she does want to help. Good. Have you got your garlic planted? If not, this is your reminder. Get your garlic planted. Alright. This isn't for you, shush. We'll just get all of these chopped up. Are they supposed to be diced? Finely chopped. They've got to be diced, because they're going in the mushrooms. So we're going to do like a petite dice on these. You might be able to hear my dogs. They're not happy. My husband's outside working, and so I let the dogs go out with him, and now they are determined that they should be inside, and they are causing a ruckus. I'll go let them in just a minute. We also need mushrooms, of course, so I'm going to go through and just wipe the dirt off with like a damp paper towel. I'm not going to rinse them. I don't want them to start turning brown, but there's just little bitty tiny bits of dirt. You could even just use your finger to to wipe it off. And then, once they're all clean, we're gonna, oh, I threw that one. Pop the stems out. And don't get rid of the stem, because we're just gonna cut this end off. I do believe this part is in the recipe, but even if it's not, this is still edible. You can throw this in something else. So we just cut off the little dry bit and then use this, but I do think this is in the recipe too. Even vegetables have humor. So this is why you clean your mushrooms, even if they don't look dirty. Because I only had one that actually looked dirty, but my rag is disgusting. Alright, sister's going to get the butter going. It's 2 tablespoons you need to melt.
Yep.
And I'm going to chop up the mushroom stems. And this is going to go in the pan with the onions and garlic?
Yep.
Okay, good.
And butter, don't forget the butter.
Yeah, never forget the butter. Onion and garlic?
Yeah. We're putting all of this that's right there on here.
And we've got that probably on medium heat at the moment, since I'm trying to catch up with her with the mushrooms. We want everything to cook through evenly. And I got a little bit more to chop up for you. Alright, there's the last of our mushrooms. And we need to add, how much was this? 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh parsley. We'll just call it that, because that's definitely more, but that ain't gonna do anything but add more flavor. If you don't like parsley, don't put it in. Okay, while that sautés for about 5 to 7 minutes in a separate bowl, we are gonna dump this whole lovely goodness of the Boursin cheese in there. Mmm, cheese. And I'm going to scrape this out of the foil. Alright, now we need half a cup of grated Parmesan. And I just have this one. And we're just going to measure with love. We also need half a cup of breadcrumbs. And I just have these on hand. They're panko. So I don't want to buy extra breadcrumbs for this recipe. Alright, our vegetables are good. The onions have softened. Now let's finish our mushroom mix. All we have left to add is black pepper. Say when.
When.
And some salt.
Say when.
Okay, so we're just going to mix this all together now. I really want to eat this cheese. I'm going to try it. Oh my gosh. Get you a little piece.
What is that?
It is like heaven.
Oh.
That's a huge piece.
Yeah, I don't want that much.
Alright, we're ready for you to pour that in now, sister.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where's your thing?
Oh yeah. Alright. Get all that mixed in. And the heat from all that food is helping that cheese melt. And making this come together better. So if it looks dry before you put the onion mix in, make sure you wait until you add it. But that looks fantastic. Alright, all that's left now is to get these mushroom caps stuffed with our filling. And then you have 2 options. You can bake them, and you'll bake them in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. Or you can do like we are going to do with a bunch of them. Stick them out on a cookie sheet into your freezer until they're completely frozen. And then you can probably gently place them into a plastic resealable bag, or if you have a container with a lid, that might work better. I'd be worried that the stuffing would try to come out if they tousled around too much in the freezer. And then you have the perfect go-to appetizer to just throw it in your oven and bake through in any instance that you need a delicious stuffed mushroom. So we're gonna bake some of these to test out and freeze the rest. I think these are gonna be a hit. What you think, sister?
Yeah, I think they are too.
Yeah, she tasted some of the mix after we...
This is a hit.
You like the onion dip?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it with the pretzel?
Yeah, with the pretzel.
How easy is this going to be? I have to do it. I have to do it. Cute little appetizer, but this is a button mushroom. I think sister rolled her eyes at that joke.
I did. That was a dad joke.
That was a mom joke. Mom jokes are funny. Dad jokes are meh.
That was not funny.
I thought it was funny. So how cool is it for us to be able to just like throw these in the oven and have this deliciousness ready?
Very cool.
Like one less thing we'll have to do. Come here, I'll show you. Was it this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. Button mushroom. I cracked myself up. Oop. I did it again.
Mom.
I didn't mean to. So if you're still with us, we will definitely do a taste test of these tonight. But if you can't tell, it is definitely getting late. I thought I was going to be able to film all day today and get some other responsibilities done that I was already needing to do. But my presence was requested. So I had to be somewhere today unexpectedly. So we will finish up the rest of these tomorrow and check in on these and see what they look like as well. And then get to our other 3 recipes, which I cannot wait to share with y'all. They look so good. Okay, there is our full pan of mushrooms. And I don't know how many that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. So the recipe calls for 20 button mushrooms. So I would get probably 3 packs to do this, because I had that much left over. So what I'm going to do is put these out in the freezer, and I have a decision to make about this. I can put it in a freezer bag as well and just defrost it and stuff more mushrooms when I cook those. Or if I can pull sister away from that caramelized onion dip, she was saying she'd like to put it on crackers as well.
No, not crackers, pretzels.
Oh, you want to eat it with pretzels?
Yes.
What do you think? Should we make more mushrooms or should we eat it now?
Eat it.
That was a very quick decision.
With pretzels.
Okay, so we'll decide. We might need to make more of these. These would be great to have on hand.
You need to make more of this.
And we can make these low carb and not have breadcrumbs in them, or use pork rinds instead. We need to try that option and see how good that is. These would be a good freezer option for that. Just some quick little fat bombs that are low carb. Alright, our mushrooms have baked and browned up a little bit on the tips, and I'm going to test one out. I just noticed we probably put the 3 smallest mushrooms that we have on here. Cheers. Mmm. That boarskin cheese. I think I like the panko in it. Has a little bit more of a crunch in it. Not inside, but on the outside it made it have a little bit more of a crunch. That's lovely. Mellow mushroom. If you like stuffed mushrooms, give this a try. It's delicious. Tomorrow I will pull out the mushrooms and we will see what they look like, and we'll get the rest of these finished up. Alright, next up we have spinach and ricotta puff pastry pinwheels, and I have my oven set to 400. To start, I have 1 package of frozen spinach that's already been thawed, and we've been draining it. I'm going to push out any remaining liquid. We don't want this soggy at all. See how much water is still in that. So we're going to get this nice and dry. And you want about 1 cup. So next we're going to add 1 cup of whole milk ricotta. And this is a 15-ounce container, and I think that's going to be probably double what we need. So we'll just have to add this to a different recipe, or maybe I can make another batch of this. We shall see. And it'd be good to know. Yeah. That's probably enough to do a batch of 2. Now I need 1/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan. I just have this pre-shredded that I've been using and everything, and I think that's even going to be enough to double. Next we need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, and I had to use this to reach at the bottom of my onion powder because it's very clumpy and I need to smash it, and I just haven't done it yet. Now we need a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. More if you like extra spicy. Now I need 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm just going to use this pink Himalayan salt. And 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Woo! That should be good. Alright, now we're going to mix to combine. Getting any lumps out that we find, just in case I threw some onion lumps in there. Alright, we're going to put this to the side and get our pastry ready. Here I've got some store-bought puff pastry sheets. If you make a puff pastry yourself, that's probably even better. Next step says to flour a work surface and roll out your puff pastry to like 1/4 of an inch thick, but these store-bought ones are already that thick, so I'm going to just lightly dust this and lay it out instead of rolling it out, because it's already at the thickness we have, but I don't want this to stick to the counter. And we'll have to see. I don't know if it's going to take 1 or 2 for the filling we have. I kind of feel like it's going to be 1, which would be pretty cool, because then I also have another spinach in my freezer out there, and we could do a second round of this and have tons of these available. And you do want this defrosted. You do not want to try to work with this stuff when it's frozen. I'm just going to pinch together the seams a little bit more, because they have been folded all their life, and that's where they will break, which they could still break. And I have had this sitting out for like 5 minutes, but I don't think it's really done anything. I probably would like to have it set out a little bit longer than that, just not too long. You want it cool to work with, but you don't want it to be warm, because it's got all those lovely layers of dough and butter. Now we're going to pour our filling out. And we're gonna spread this out, but we're gonna leave an inch at the bottom and an inch at the top. Okay, so definitely looks like one recipe is one sheet, store-bought. And I'm gonna get pretty close to these edges, right and left. But I don't want to go too close because I'm worried some of this might squeeze out as we roll this. Alright, that's pretty flat and even. Okay, we're going to try to gently roll this. Just as tight as we can. And it doesn't really specify which way to roll it. So I don't know if we're supposed to roll it this way or this way. Okay, now if you're worried about it coming apart, you can refrigerate this. Oh yeah, don't forget to pinch your seams together a little bit and keep things together. I could have went a little bit tighter on that last roll with this. We're going to do cut side down, but if you're worried about this coming apart, you can stick it in the fridge for like 30 minutes and then it'll firm up. So now we're going to cut this into pieces. Okay, now we're just going to use a sharp knife. Let's see how I can do this. This is not the sharpest knife. I probably should have sharpened it, and it's going to squish them a bit. But you want to cut them into pinwheels. And I really should refrigerate mine, but I want to get these in the oven. At least a few of them. And for this demonstration, I'm not going to do the egg wash, which you should absolutely do. This knife is horrible. It's so dull. I want to use a thinner knife that's super sharp because you see, I'm squishing them. They'll still taste lovely. They're just going to be not pretty. But for this, I'm going to get these in the oven and get them baked up. You want to egg wash the top of those, which is like 1 egg with 1 teaspoon of water, and then you beat it up, and then you use a little brush like this to rub out across your rolls, and then it will give it a lovely golden color. I'm going to just do these, and I'm going to stick this in the fridge so it can be cold, and I'm going to slice these up later and put them out on a sheet pan like we did our mushrooms and let them freeze laying flat, and then we can package them up in an airtight container and have them in the freezer for whenever we have anything going on that we need to have lovely appetizers. And at that point we'll defrost them, egg wash them, and then bake them again. Well, bake them, and we want to bake them about 25 to 30 minutes when they come out of the freezer with the egg wash on them. But I do want to do a little taste test and see what modifications I want. And this seems like a good size. It'd probably be a better size if I had squished it a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap. I'm not worried about it. We'll do another one anyway. But I think these are going to turn out delicious, and I'll show you what they look like in a bit. Fresh out the oven, y'all, these look delicious even though I squished them a little bit. So we need to let them cool, and they surprisingly browned up a decent amount. So you can see what they look like without egg wash. So I don't know if that's necessary, but up to you. I'll leave it to you to decide. See if I can touch this one. Oh, nope. We'll let them cool, and then we'll give them a taste. Alright, it's time to try our spinach and ricotta pinwheels. Let's see if I can get it up. Might have to use a spatulare. Hubby's gonna try one too.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very buttery and flaky and crispy looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, you can't have mine. Mine doesn't have as much filling because this is the end piece.
It's got a lot of spice in it.
Black pepper and red pepper.
The red pepper.
There's not that much. You like it? Mine. Well, that's delicious.
What's the other ones?
They're hiding. Well, I guess that's a winner. I'm glad I have ingredients to double that. I'll do that off camera. But I got the mushrooms out. Let me show you those. I've kind of rolled around on my cookie sheet a bit. But they're very rock hard. I left them in overnight and then went to work for a couple hours as well. So they are definitely frozen. So I'm going to put these in an airtight container. And then we'll defrost these along with everything else when we need them. Probably for Thanksgiving by the sounds of it. Everybody approves. We're going to see if we can stick that to anybody. And I'm thinking I'm going to put these in an actual container with a lid instead of a bag because I don't want all the stuffing to fall off. But these were a winner. Those were a winner. Don't! That is my piece. Y'all, he's trying to take my piece. But the onion dip, 5 stars on that. I think that spinach thing is
105 stars.
okay, 105 stars. Let's do the meatballs next. We're going to do the meatballs next. They're going to be homemade meatballs, and it's going to be cranberry barbecue meatballs. And then we have one more recipe after that. I'm going to wait for Sister to get home because I think she really wants to do this recipe. And the meatballs sound really good too. And I think we're going to deviate from the instructions and make my life a little bit easier. Especially in how I'm going to have these prepped for Thanksgiving. So it'll make it super easy for me. I just wanted to quickly show y'all. I did have the log of the spinach ricotta in the fridge for a while. And I found my sharpest, thinnest blade knife. Which still isn't that sharp, but it did cut a whole lot better and they look really pretty. And this made about 16 rolling it top to bottom how I did. So they're bigger around that way than I think they would be if you rolled them this way. But just so you know, it made right about 16. And I'm going to put these in the freezer and then we'll get to making the meatballs. Alright, here we go on to our 4th recipe. And I have... Let's see, I'm pretty sure it was, oh, it's 5 pounds of ground beef. And we need 2 for this recipe. So I think I'm going to cut this in half and then we will have 2.5 pounds. Let me see what I want to do with my extra meat. I got this size because buying it 1 pound each to make 2 pounds is more expensive than just buying a 5-pound log. This is actually like on sale this week, so that was extra good. So let me figure out how I want to do this because I thought I was getting a 3, but I guess 5 was cheaper. No, we have 2.5 pounds, and the recipe calls for 2 pounds. So if I need to make any adjustments, I will. And I've reserved the other. I don't know, I might make a meatloaf with that for a dinner. That actually sounds really good. I think the family would like that. So I'm going to use my left hand because I'm right-handed. And I'm going to squish it out a little bit because we're going to season up this meat to get our meatballs going. And for that, we need 1 cup of breadcrumbs. Let me get my little measure. Alright, again, measuring spoons. I have 2 or 3 sets that I can't really tell what measurer I'm using. So that's another one. I really need to find some other ones. We need 1/3 cup of ketchup. Well, there's my very, very messy 1/3 cup-ish of ketchup. Even got some on my pan here. Whatever. I'm not bothered. And I was thinking it'd probably really be good that I have that extra meat. I can make that meatloaf for dinner tonight. And I think I have some green beans in the freezer, so that would be perfect. Then we need 2 large eggs. We need a container to break these in separately because we aren't going to try and ruin that meat if one of these eggs is just not right. These are farm fresh eggs. Well, they're technically yard eggs because we don't have a farm. And I will put the 2 in. If I have a tiny egg in there, I'll probably throw that in there too, since we do have 1/2 pound extra of meat. Alright, I found one of our new layers egg, which is a lot smaller than our layers who have been laying a while. So we'll just fill the gap. Both of those were too large, and then this is a small, so it'll balance out. Now we need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. What I was saying is I was going to use my left hand to squish that out, because a lot of times if I just have things to add to the meat, I'll use my left hand, and that way I can use my right hand to stay clean. But that was not the case this time. Let's make sure 2 tablespoons, and then we're just going to put a little bit extra since we have that extra 1/2 pound. You could do a whole nother 1/2 teaspoon. So we'll just eyeball it. Okay, now we need 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And we're putting extra since we did a little bit more. Now we need 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. A little more. And then a little bit more because I really like garlic. Now we're going to get in with our clean hands and mix all this together. If you don't like sticking your hands directly in food, feel free to try to use a spoon or wear gloves, whatever you got to do for you. I find this quite cathartic to just go through with my hands and get it all worked up. And that's as easy as it is. And you can, as you see, I'm already adding more to this recipe and just making my adjustments. So you could quite easily half this recipe if you just want to have this for a Thanksgiving dinner over rice one night. That would be good. Or if you have 50 people coming over for Thanksgiving, go ahead and triple it. Because there's multiple ways that we can finish this product, and I'm going to show you the way I choose to finish it. And then of course we're going to do some the intended way, at least that's my intentions, is to show you the way the recipe says to do it, and then how I'm going to preserve this so I don't have to do all this work the day before Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving. I say all this work, but this is super easy. So if you've never made homemade meatballs, I highly recommend you do it, because this took like maybe 4 minutes to throw together. And to make it even easier, we'll use a cookie scoop. And the longest it takes is the actual cooking of it in the oven, and then passive time cooking it with the sauce. So you don't have to like stand at the oven to make this. But you know, Thanksgiving is crazy, and so one less thing to have to do that day, the better. So you do need your oven set for 350. We're going to put them out on this baking sheet. We're just going to ignore the little ketchup there. And it says that they will cook for 30 minutes. So we shall see if that's the case. And I'm just going to plop these out here for now, and we will shape them. Hopefully we can get all these on one pan, because my other pan is now in the freezer with those spinach and ricotta pinwheels. I probably need to get an extra cookie sheet for these big cooking days. Okay, so this recipe, even without the extra half pound, is definitely going to be a 2 cookie sheet job. And I do have one little bitty one that I can pull out. I'm definitely going to line it. I have these, well, I just threw ketchup everywhere. These Silpat style liners that I just keep in these cookie sheets. So I will have to see if I can line that. And I'm going to just go through and shape all these. And that's a great way to quickly get your meatballs out without a lot of fuss. And still, we're probably 7 minutes in, if that. I should really keep time for you guys, because this is so quick. And then this will give you more of a uniform size meatball than if you try to do it by hand as well. So all your meatballs will cook about the same time, instead of having some burnt and some raw, and all sizes, just like that. Alright, we got 47 meatballs to fit between these two. I found these in my drawer, which this one is gross and needs to be washed. I don't even know where they came from. It's Foley brand? I don't remember getting these. I don't know what they're for. Maybe brownies. I don't know. But anyway, it worked out well. I just put some parchment paper down. So I'm going to get these in the oven and cook them for 30 minutes. And I'll show you what they look like and the next steps we need to take. Just wanted to show you guys that other 2.5 pounds of meat. I basically just made the same recipe again. And we're going to turn it into a meatloaf after I clean this pan. We're going to line it with parchment and make it into a meatloaf tonight, and then we'll know exactly what our meatballs taste like in meatloaf form. So that's also an option, is to try it as a meatloaf. There we go. I made it as long as the pan, because the higher and rounder your meatloaf, the longer it takes to cook. So I like to make them flatter and as rectangle as I can, so the thickness of it is smaller and it cooks quicker. So I'm going to throw this in the oven with those meatballs, and then I'll just keep an eye on it, because they still have 19 minutes left, and we'll have dinner mostly ready too. Alright, here's our meatballs. It took right about 30 minutes, and you flip them over once about halfway through, and they look delicious. Let's move on to the next step. My meatloaf's turned out great. And I am just going to heat up a bag of steamable vegetables in the microwave to go along with it. And I think we have avocados that need to be eaten too. But I got our spinach and ricotta pinwheels out of the freezer. Put them in a gallon-sized baggie, because I need room to put the next batch as well. So things are going quite well. Okay, we're going to make the sauce for these meatballs. And we're going to use the stove. I have this heating up on about medium-high heat at the moment. Let's see. This is a can of jellied cranberry sauce. If you make homemade, that's probably even better, which I will have a video coming soon where we are going to make some homemade cranberry sauce, among other awesome cranberry products. Alright, to that we need to add a whole 18-ounce bottle of barbecue. This is our family's favorite. It's the Sweet Baby Ray. And I really like the sugar-free or the no sugar added version just as much as I like this one. going to let that stand upside down for a few minutes so the rest can come to the top. Now we need to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm just using my light brown sugar that I have some left of. And then we need 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, but I always have the lime, so we're going to use that. I prefer lime. And something like this, it doesn't matter. If you're doing canning, then I don't know if you can substitute lime for lemon or not. I don't know if the acidity is different, so that's something I will need to look into to see if my taste preference is going to affect that, and if that's going to affect the acidity or not. We're just going to mush this up and stir this together, and we're going to just bring this to up to temp and let everything come together, the brown sugar melt, and get it to its saucy deliciousness. And I'll get back to you in a minute and we will finish these guys up. Alright, so our sauce has come together nicely. There's still a few little bitty chunks in there, but I am not worried about that all because of our next step. I would say use a whisk if you're going to follow the instructions and get it as smooth as you can. But what you're supposed to do now is add your meatballs and then simmer them, most likely on low, for 1 hour. And then they're done. And you could make your sauce, freeze it, and then freeze your meatballs, and then combine everything together in a saucepan for an hour for the day of. But let's try something else out. Oh, and I guess we should probably taste the sauce with the meatball, even though it won't be quite how it should be after cooking for an hour, but we're still going to see where the flavor's at. So I've already brought the husband one, and he says it tastes really nice. So I'm going to just dip it in. Move this off the heat a little bit. I'd be worried about it scorching if you simmered it for an hour. Don't that look yummy? So I guess you could technically, well, we'll see how they taste, but if they taste good like this, then you could just dip them and stand them on a platter with toothpicks if you want to present them. So let's see if they taste good now. The sauce is still hot and there's sugar in it, so you know that's lava for your tongue. If you've had the meatballs where people have used it with grape jelly, this is very similar. But this has a cranberry fall Thanksgiving feel to it. And I think it's good just like this. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I think these are best and hands off and easy out of the way, not using your stove if you do them in a crock pot. But I have got me a Ziploc bag ready to go, and I'm gonna throw all my meatballs in here and put the sauce on top, and then I will show you what I'm up to. I really should have done what I normally do with bags, because now I have all this goo here. So I like to fold them out like this, and now you see it's sitting pretty good. Okay, so my sauce is still hot, and I'm going to try to be very careful and pour this over top. And you see my bag at the bottom is starting to expand and spread a little bit. I really think I might need to get some crock pot liners. Especially because I cook a lot of curry. And that might help sister with the cleanup. Alright, I'll scrape the rest of that out in a minute. But the idea is I'm going to let these spread to to the shape of the crock pot just as much as they want to. And I can see that this is spreading out very nice. And I'm gonna let these cool. And as long as it doesn't try to really spread out further, then I think it'll be perfect. I even think I could double this for this crock pot and it would be just completely fine. I don't know how this method would work. And I don't think it's trying to spread out too much further, but I'm still going to close this up once it's cool. And then I'm going to put my crock pot and this into the freezer. That way this bag with all the liquid can't spread out any further widthways. That way when I do need to get this, I can just cut the bag off and put my frozen meatballs and sauce that will fit in my crock pot in here. And then I can just turn it on low and it can just sit there for as long as I need it to without me having to do anything. Okay, so I hope that goes to plan. I've never done that before, but it sounds like a good idea. I wish they made oval shaped plastic bags now for us. That would be great, so you can make crock pot meals that fit directly into your crock pot, frozen ones. Be a dump and go for sure. But I'm gonna let that cool, get it in the freezer, and of course I'll show everything at the end. I think that's it for tonight. We didn't quite get to the last recipe, but we will try to take care of that together tomorrow, because sister has a very important event tomorrow and she needs help practicing, and we're so excited for her. And we also still need to eat dinner, so we need to eat dinner and prepare for our busy day. I also have an event tomorrow. We have this cool thing here that I like to help out at, and it's called Special Angels Rodeo. It's a really cool thing. But anyway, we'll finish up tomorrow. Hey y'all, so I'm back from my event. Sister's back from her contest, and what a great day. If you have extra time on your hands and you need something to fulfill your life, I encourage you to go look out and see what kind of nonprofits are in your area. And no matter your age or skill level or physical abilities, they are looking for volunteers, and it's very rewarding. And we are going to be making our final recipe, that is Gougeres. It's a French recipe. It's also known as cheese puffs. And it is one that we will be making on the stove mostly, and I'm very excited to see how this turns out. Sister wants me to do the beginning, and then she wants to pipe out the dough. That's right, we're going to try and pipe it. I don't have the right size tips, so let's see if this works out. Fingers crossed. Alright, I have my stove set to 400, and you should have a medium saucepan, but both of mine are in the dishwasher at the moment. So we're going to start with half a cup of water and also half a cup of unsalted butter. We need half a cup of whole milk. And it calls for half a teaspoon of kosher salt, but I don't have any of that. So we'll just do my pink salt. And we're going to bring this up to heat. Alright, not too long, and everything's starting to melt and come together. My butter was cold because I just got home and didn't have time to put it out to soften. So if you want it to cook down quicker, you could chop it up into cubes or have your butter set out ahead of time. It's up to you. But we will be needing some room temperature eggs. I believe it's 4. And again, the chickens have saved the day because I just went and got them from the chickens. They're lovely. Okay, y'all, this is just about ready. And once this comes up to a boil, we're going to take it off of heat, and then we're going to add some ingredients, stir with our wooden spoon, and then once that's all incorporated, we're going to bring it right back to the heat. Okay, we're going to call that I don't want it to get too terribly hot because it really should be a smaller pan. Yep, there's a boil. Alright, so we pulled it off the heat. We're going to add the flour. And it calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of mustard, and I have a 1/2 teaspoon. That's ground mustard. So we're going to do that and a bit. And then it also calls for 1/4 a teaspoon of cayenne. I don't have cayenne. I'm just going to sub in some Korean chili flake. So this is going to be a Korean French fusion. We're just going to get all this stirred in. Get it all nice and incorporated. Alright, that's looking good. Make sure I'm getting anything off the bottom at the moment. Alright, we're going to bring it back to the heat, on medium heat. Now we're going to stir this continuously until the dough is smooth and forms a skin on the bottom. And it's already pulling away from the edges because, you know, it's got all this surface area. So we're just going to wait for the skin to form at the bottom. Basically, you don't want that raw flour taste. You're cooking that out. And we're just going to keep it moving. This should take about 4 or 5 minutes. Alright, can you see on the bottom of my pan, there's starting to be a coating. So I'm going to let this go just a few more minutes. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes. We definitely have a coating. We're going to transfer this into our stand mixer. And it's asking for a paddle attachment. I don't have that. I'm just going to use my dough hook. But we're going to let this cool for about 5 to 7 minutes before we go to our next step. Alright guys, so this has been cooling for a while. Now we're going to lock that in place. We're going to I'm just going to scrape the edges a bit. Alright, so that attachment does work, but I do have to turn it up a little bit higher than it says. And then it fully incorporated our eggs. So now we can add our cheese, which is 1 cup of white sharp cheddar cheese. If you want to be more traditional, use Gruyere. And I found a 2-pound block of this cheese on sale, so I went ahead and shredded all that up and stuck it in a freezer bag. So I have nice pre-shredded cheese available without having to shred it. And then it also calls for 2 tablespoons of minced fresh chives. I'm growing garlic chives and they're still doing fantastic, so that's what we are using. And we're going to mix all this until it's fully incorporated as well. Alright, I'm just going to scrape down my sides. Make sure everybody gets joined in. Alright, that looks nice and fully incorporated. Just clean off my hook a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go grab Sister because she wants to do this part. Alright, she's making her way in here. And I have this cool piping set that we got on Amazon. And it comes with reusable bags and a whole bunch of tips. And then the scrapers and everything like that as well. But I went through and I found, well, I don't know where it is now. I found the biggest tip we have and it was like a 1/4 inch. And I think this calls for 1/2 inch. Yeah, a 1/2 inch round piping tip. And I don't think we have a 1/2 inch anything. So I'm going to go through and find whatever one works best. And we're going to get this pastry bag filled up and Sister's going to give it a go. Let me put some more in there for you. You don't want it to be too full, and you don't want it to be too low. Remember that? Twist and squeeze from here. And it said what? Hold it like 1/2 inch above?
Yeah. Can I do it?
Yeah, go for it. And then make them about 1.5 inches, and then do a little flick at the end. And if you do have peaks like that, you can just fold them over.
I'm gonna touch it.
Okay. So 1/2 inch round piping tip. Hold the bag, the piping tip 1/2 inch above the parchment paper. Holding the tip still, apply even pressure until the batter forms 1.5 inch circles, which she is doing an excellent job. So she's just holding it about
and
1/2
I
inch.
have to move it because
yeah.
there's
She has it above 1/2 inch, and she's just squeezing it out, and it's forming a circle. I'll see if I can get you a better angle. Okay, she says she's having to move it just a little bit because our tip is too small. So if you're doing it like us and just making it work, no, that might happen. And you want to try to flick your wrist at the end. Can you try to do a flick where it kind of eats that tip? That's lifting up. You may. Let's see if we can get it. Okay. Now, that's it. Good. Flick. Flick out and away, just like that. Now keep going. Alright, that's how many she got with that one piping bag full. But that girl is ready for a nap. And let's see how many this makes. This is supposed to make about 35 to 40. And unfortunately, my other cookie sheet is otherwise in use, so I will just have to do these one at a time. But that's okay. We will make it work. I've never even heard of these before. I just found these recipes and I was like, yeah, we need some cheese puffs in our life. I don't think I've ever had a cheese puff, but it looks so fun. I know sister loves piping, and I like that it was a stovetop recipe. Got to keep things changing up a bit. And if you're new to things, don't be intimidated by it. Just slowly follow your instructions. If you don't know what something means, Google it. Or if there's something I'm doing, ask down in the comments if you don't know what it is. And I'll be happy to help you figure it out. Because everybody's got to start somewhere. Okay, I made a bunch of them with the pokey uppies too, so I'm going to just go through and knock the little tips over. If your finger's wet, it works a little bit better. Hers are bigger than mine. I made them a little bit small, so I might make them a little bit bigger so they bake about the same time. Alright, we're going to stick these in the oven until they are puffed and golden brown, about 25 to 30 minutes. Alright, so here's what they look like. They are fresh out of the oven. Nice and toasty brown on the bottom. And these did take a little bit less time than it said, so just keep an eye on them. It's probably to do with the size. This one's probably an inch. This one's probably 1.5 inches. So our sizes, and then they're, look, it's tiny. Our sizes are all over the place. But if you can keep yours more accurately sized to about this size, the 1.5 inches, then it might take the 25 minutes. But I do think my oven's running a little hot, So I wanted to be sure to watch these. I'm going to transfer these to a cooling rack and get another batch going. Look, and these you can actually see where the cheese has gotten golden delicious. I'm gonna try this one that's kind of flat and weird looking, and hubby's gonna get this lovely one.
I'm eating my sausage.
We do like sausage around here.
What is that?
Try it. It's French. Yeah, he's English. Ask
That's
anybody who's English why he made that noise.
What is that? Tastes good.
Gougeres?
Oh, that one you wanted me to see if I could
I
pronounce
can't remember how to... Gougeres is how I would pronounce it. But I don't know. It's been a long day.
it. Tastes like those cheesy stick things they used to make.
Gougeres? That's it. Gougeres. Gougere. I don't know if you pronounce the S or not. Let me know if you pronounce the S whenever it's plural. Gougeres. But anyway, they're tasty and delicious. And to have these stored ahead of time for your event, you want to let them cool completely and then put them in an airtight container or a Ziploc bag, that kind of thing, and stick it in the freezer, and you can store that for up to 3 months. And then just defrost and reheat them and you are golden. So I'm noticing now that this dough has cooled down while we were baking the other. It doesn't pipe out the same, so I'm just making it in like little snake coils about the size we need, which makes sense. It was warm to begin with. Now it's cooled off, so it will react differently. Like that. And just saying, no offense to any French people, my family is Cajun French. It's just a joke. Okay, so you can see I tried to get everything out I could with that one, and it's super weird looking. Yeah, I already know my piping skills aren't that great, but they look good enough. There are little gaps in between, so I'll be interested to see if they puff up like that or if they puff up like little snakes. So we'll see how it turns out. Either way, I don't really care how they turn out. They taste delicious. So this is the second batch, and let me see if I can get one of these up for you, because they are fresh out the oven. But you see, since that dough set for a while, they didn't puff up and they did stay in the little snake form instead of doing their little puffy job. So don't be like me. Have your 2 cookie sheets ready, get them all piped out, and stick them in the oven right away if you want them to puff up. If you're not bothered, they'll be like that. Let's do a side by side. And I'm sure these will taste exactly the same. They just won't have the poofy texture. And I'm going to get these all cooled and bagged up. Alright y'all, so that is it for our 5 appetizers that you can make ahead for Thanksgiving or any sort of fall get together. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found a recipe you'd like to try out, let me know how it goes. And I thank you so much for spending time with me. I always love sharing and testing out new recipes to see what they do or what they don't do. Like with these, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm okay trying it out and seeing what does happen. And thank you for all that you're doing for our channel and all your support. We appreciate each and every one of you, and love you. Bye-bye.